This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back. All different types of therapy out there. We're going to talk about one type of therapy that can be very impactful, very different than what you might be used to. Talking about drama therapy. Now, interestingly, I'm in a bunch of different organizations, different groups. One of them in particular, we talk about being masked down. That's actually one of our standards we've adopted, among other ones: push, lead, embrace discomfort. Mask down is one of them. But today we're going to talk about putting on the mask. I'm trying to process that. She is a registered drama therapist, and so great to have her back with us. Sally Bailey's on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And what does being masked down mean? I haven't heard that term before.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for asking. I just assume. It means being authentic. It means not hiding anything. It means being who you are and being vulnerable, if you will.
That's what I thought it probably meant, but in our world, I think, use different ways of saying that. We say take the mask off.
Okay, same. Yeah.
More words,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
It's faster to say mask down.
Mask down. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But interestingly, in your work, masks are or can be encouraged as part of drama therapy, right?
Yes, because it makes people aware that they are wearing masks. And in any situation, even if we're being authentic, we've got our authentic mask on. Or if we're being professional, we've got our professional mask on. But then if things are not going right in our lives, we've got a mask that we put on to hide things or to push people away from us or to scare people so they wouldn't think of even coming near us. And it becomes so habitual that people forget that they're wearing it, which I'm sure comes up a lot in the group that you're involved with that says, mask down. So one way to make people aware of this is not just to talk about it, because that's, of course, abstract. It's to actually use masks. And since masks were part of theater at the very, very beginning in ancient Greek times, it makes it very much a wonderful metaphor for us to use that. Back in the old days of Greek theater, the theater was down on the floor and there was a very big, tall audience area and you couldn't really see facial expression. And so they would have the actors wear masks that were very large and had very wide expressions, but also when they moved, the expressions could change, kind of like the puppets that we played with the last time. Is depending on the movement and the pose, the idea or the emotion changes. Masks usually, when we think of them, don't change, that they tend to, just have one thing that they're saying. Here's a mask that I have. And this is a half mask, which is for a production or a scene in which you would need your mouth to say stuff, because if you've got a full mask, I don't know where my full mask is, but here's one. If you have a full mask covering your face, it's very hard to hear what the person is saying. And we read lips a lot when we talk to people and understand people, even though we're not aware of it. So
isn't that interesting? It's funny you bring that up, because I was messing with my TV the other night and the sound was a little off from the picture. And I'm like, this is messing me up. I mean, you don't realize how often you read lips at TV or in person or whatever until it's a little bit off. So I see your point there. It's very impactful.
So this is used for performance. And the first part of what usually is done with a mask is that you make a mask on the person if you can. This one was made out of plaster Paris bandage, and that's what it looks like after it's made. You have the person lie down, put Vaseline petroleum jelly all over their face so that the stuff doesn't stick to them and they become the mask. And you put layers of plaster Paris bandage that have been wet with warm water, so it feels like a facial, not so that you're like, oh, this is cold and clammy, yuck.
Yep.
And you do about 3 layers overlapping it. You can leave the eyes open, or you can cover the eyes, which gives you more painting space if you opt for that. But then, of course, if you put it on, you can't see it, what you're doing. And you let it dry for about 10, 15 minutes. If it's kind of humid, 15 minutes. And then the person who's got the mask on their face just scrunches their face around underneath, and the person who's making the mask on them just lifts it off. And hopefully no hair has gotten caught into any of it, and no one is screaming. And usually I make sure that everybody has everything greased down, including their eyebrows, before I let anybody start. But this gives a really solid, you can see how thick it is, firm thing that you can work with, and you would poke holes over here and put elastic on it to keep it on it if you were going to perform in it. But then you look at this blank piece, whether it's a whole face or part of a face, and you go, okay, what do I do myself to hide who I am from other people? And there are a couple wonderful poems about masks and why we wear masks. And if you read that to the group, they usually find something in that poem that they really relate to. I do that. Oh, that's me. You'll get responses. So then you give them acrylic paints and you say, okay, let's design a mask that shows one of the masks that you wear, and then we'll talk about it. So it's a great way to really think about, how do I behave to other people, or what do other people see, and why am I doing it? And then you have the time where you're painting the mask, where you're really deeply thinking about it as you do it.
How do you identify what the mask is going to look like?
I think people think to, what do I do? Am I scaring people away? They'll make a scary mask. Am I playing the victim? They'll make a mask that, looks like a victim that might be beat up.
Or potentially a little sad.
Or sad, yes. Or are they angry all the time? Do they keep people away by anger? This guy did. Can you tell?
Yeah. With the eyebrows.
Yes.
And just almost like, I get a vibe of like a scowl kind of look. And even the colors. I mean, the yellow in there could be the sun, but it could, it's intense. And
There's
some
a
red.
storm happening that's going to cover the sun real soon. And over here, that's his anger.
Wow. Yeah, that's the red on the side. For anybody that's listening and not seeing this. Wow. Is it beneficial in two ways to do the mask, where you're being transparent about the way you act or the way that you feel you're portrayed, but also beneficial on the other side because it literally masks your identity and you're more comfortable in performing or acting out a situation?
Well, funny you should ask that. You have such great intuitive insight into things.
I'm just curious. I look at this and, as if I'm there in a production and what I would be doing with that mask.
Therapeutically, you can turn the mask around. This is the inside of that mask. You can paint the inside as to what's going on. What are you masking?
Ooh, wow. Wow. Okay. For anybody, if you can't see this, that somewhat tumultuous mask, when flipped around, is all blue on the backside that somebody's wearing. and there's one teardrop out of one of the eyes.
And it's
And I got to
gold.
tell you, you're looking at that, Sally, it's so sad.
Yes.
Wow.
He was in grief, deep
Wow.
grief. And this, he didn't want to feel it. So he covered it up.
Wow. I don't know if he was persuaded or this is a product of the therapy, but to do that, was that his own doing?
It was all his own doing.
Impressive.
I will be around to, open a bottle that won't open, or if somebody says, "Does this look like this to you?" I'll say yes or no, but I never tell anybody how to do their mask. And usually they go right to the heart of it. They really do. Um, Although I did have one client one time, this was in a drug rehab facility, who did not realize that she bullied people, and she was only in touch with how hurt she was. So the outside of her mask was her being hurt, and the inside of the mask was grief. And I said, "You've got two of the inside pieces of yourself here.
Mm,
You don't know what you're really doing with other people." And she was really surprised. She had no idea that she bullied people. And so that was a real eye opener for her. And she
wow.
realized she was doing things she had no idea. She was just protecting herself as she was bullying people.
I have a
Yeah.
deep question.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's connected to mask, but I'm going to put masks over to the side for just a moment, but this is all part of it. Sally, do you feel that most of us are grieving in some way, shape, and form? That's where a lot of this sadness, negativity, anger, whatever it might be, ultimately, there's some grief connected to it.
I think we are. I think that's where a lot of problems come from. And grief feels so painful that people don't want to address it.
Mm,
They would rather be angry because that sends the energy out instead of feeling that grief and working through it within.
yeah. And many are addicted to suffering. Why? Because it feels comfortable. So I don't people we don't want change. So let's ride on that instead of confronting it. And what is grief? Ultimately, it's loss. And that it could be loss of anything,
Hmm.
anything, years back, whatever it might be. But I feel like looking deeper into it, and it just seems to many times come back as grief.
And as you talk about it with people, often you can get to that place of, well, what's underneath this? Some people wear a whole layer of masks,
Mm,
like that one client who thought she was a victim, but she was victimizing other people. Um, that you can get down to, and usually at the bottom is an immense amount of sadness because of loss.
mm.
And for some people, loss for years, one loss after the other. If you were abused as a child, that doesn't happen once. Usually that happens many times.
And what is it? What would the loss be there? Abuse as a child, whether emotionally, physically, whatever it is. Um, Loss of freedom, loss of happiness, loss of connection, maybe with family members, whatever it might be. You got bullied, um, loss of joy. You're a kid. I'm walking on the playground. And I got the blank beat out of me. There's a loss, and you may still be grieving that and not even realize it.
Yeah, because it
Mm,
happened so long ago. You've
yeah.
gone, oh, I put that behind me. But until you stop and grieve it, it's still going to be in there, punching at you.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a song that popped in my head, and the lyrics are like almost what we're talking about. Billy Joel, it's called The Stranger. It was the title to his album. And I just looked it up here. Well, we all have a face that we hide away forever, and we take them out and show ourselves when everyone is gone. Some are satin, some are steel, some are silk, and some are leather. They're the faces of the stranger, but we love to try them on.
Yeah.
Do you feel that many of us are almost strangers to ourselves in some regards?
I think people who've never done therapy and
Mm.
who are filled with, I don't want to say negative emotions, but emotions that don't feel good. I think, yeah, that they don't know themselves and they're afraid to know themselves because they're feeling all of this
Yeah.
unhappy stuff. And they're afraid if I go in there, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be a nightmare. I can't handle it.
Yep.
Which is one reason why you need to go to a therapist because they can stand back and go, no, I can see the good in you. I can see many wonderful qualities in you, and I'm going to stand with you as you work through these unhappy feelings to find the true you, which is a beautiful child inside.
It's
Who
it's
you
so
were meant.
beautiful that you said that. Like I could feel that. Yeah, it's almost you don't hear people say, "You're a beautiful person. You realize what you got going on there. You are beautiful." We don't normally hear that. Maybe from our parents once, and they may not be around anymore. But to hear that coming from a therapist or an outside entity, friends and family is okay, but they're going to tell you what you want to
They're
hear.
supposed to say that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I used to
yeah.
say that to my mother. Yeah, that's your job. You're supposed to say that to me.
Exactly. Exactly. And I totally, I'm right on your page there with many of us keep ourselves very busy. We don't want to sit with ourselves, just let's keep moving. Let's keep moving because we don't want to confront it and potentially feel that pain. I was just talking with somebody before. There's a song that this time of year, people, it's an old song, that they love. It's called Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts, and it talks about summertime and blah, 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 blah. I have a friend of mine, oh, I love that song. I listen to it. I don't want to hear it because it talks about little light in the window. I have a picture of, my mom who was alone. My parents got divorced when I was younger, being very transparent here. And as a kid, I would hear that song and I would think, oh, that's my mom. And it's like, the shadows of the daylight. And then now it's getting dark out. Like when that song comes on, I'm not happy. I shut it off. I don't need to hear it. But, I'll have a friend say, wow, that's a summertime. That's great. I don't see it that way. So I choose not to listen to it. I don't need to. But we all, take away different things from life.
There is kind of there's a minor key in parts of that song. So I don't know that they meant it to be only happy.
I'm
I
with you.
think they were bringing more than one thing into that song.
I'm not crazy.
No, you're not. You're not.
And I'm detecting that. I feel like you said a negative key. It's conflicted. It's sort
Mhm.
of, melancholy, but then it could be embracing summer and the things that come along with it. But thank you. And now I realize now I hear it. There is there's a negative key to it. Hmm.
And life is full of mixed emotions. We think we're only supposed to feel one emotion and it
Hmm.
should be a positive one all the time.
Right.
Emotions come and emotions go, and they get mixed together sometimes, and that's okay. Emotions just give us messages. They just tell us you're safe, or they tell us you're in danger, you need to do something, or they tell us you're angry, somebody is threatening you, and you have a bunch of choices of how to handle this message that I'm giving you. And
Mm.
the great thing about drama therapy is that you can create a scene that has an emotion and then you can stop the scene, you can freeze it and say, okay, what are all the choices that could be made in this moment to answer the message that this emotion is giving you? And you can
Mm.
almost think of emotions as characters. There's a wonderful poem by Rumi called The Guest House. And it's all about how different emotions come into your house each day. And they just come through. They don't stay. They come through and then they leave. And sometimes they come in and they mess up your whole house and they throw things around, but then they're gone. And the thing to do is not to think of them as living with you because they're not. Think of them as people who are bringing in messages to you and then let them go instead
Mm.
of holding on to them.
Interesting. I would imagine that's why many therapists encourage us to give things a color or give things a name, because you may have, coming through your house, it may be, let's give it a name. There's Jim again. Jim is the one that's kind of sad, or whatever it might be. You'll see the same people come through, you'll recognize, but then there might be ones that, who are you? Wait, well, let me give you a name. So next time you come around, I'm going to know who you are. It's a great way to look at it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So this is a mask
Wow.
that is a character mask. It's not a metaphorical mask, and it was made to be actually a character who was the old man of the mountain. So the person who made this did the basic mask shape on her face. There's no inside to this because this is just, we're putting on a character. And then she built up old lines and painted them to push out the oldness. And they had created a poem, a group of them, based on a picture of Mount Everest. So they all brainstormed different things that they felt when they saw the mountain, and different things that they felt, and then they cut them all up and they put them together into a poem, and then they got to act it out. So she represented Mount Everest,
Wow.
and they were able to act out, and it was a very sad poem, but they felt great after they acted it out because they felt like they'd let it go. They'd let go the oldness and the sadness and the weariness of the mountain, and they felt really energized.
How do you know when you're working with somebody or a number of people, whether it should be a character mask or should be one of the other masks, the emotional masks?
A lot of times we will just start with a mask and just say, this is, it's you, and what are you hiding? What is inside? What's underneath? Or you can have a group that they're trying to envision themselves in the future. I'm working on my issues, but I don't know where I'm going. So
Hmm.
you can say, in that case, the mask is, the outside of the mask is either the future, who you want to become, you want to step into that mask, and then the inside is who I am now, which, who I am in the future is going to grow out of who I am inside. So it's going to, go that way. Or you can think of the outside looks like you because that's the authentic you now, and the inside is the future you that you're planning.
Wow. This hasn't been an eye opener. Just you turning, excuse me, that mask around and seeing the teardrop. I didn't know that that was, part of what you do. And even looking at the masks, therapy is fantastic. Talking with somebody, so beneficial. But it's so different when you're acting it out, where you're allowing yourself more to come out as opposed to having a conversation in therapy with a therapist. Great starting point, but
Yeah.
you take it light years ahead when you're wearing a mask. Amazing. Sally, how does somebody connect with you? I know that the performances and everything have to be, you're in the Midwest, if I remember correctly,
I'm
right?
in the Midwest, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in Kansas. We are not a flyover state. You can actually land here. And my website is www.dramatherapycentral.com.
Thank you for sharing this with all of us. It gets better every time we talk because I learn more
I have
about it.
fun. I look forward to Wednesdays.
Me too. And sharing with others, and how, if you're considering it, maybe reach out to Sally for insight. And I got to believe there's, drama therapy groups and situations all over the country that you might not be aware of. But what a great way to express your feelings.
And
Uh,
I know a lot of people across the country because I've trained people, and I was president of the North American Drama Therapy Association. So I know a bunch of people, and I can recommend a bunch of people.
well, that explains it why you're so good at this. I had no idea. Wow. Thank you so much for today. Looking forward next time we get together.
Me too.
Appreciate it. Thanks. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network. where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.